You wake up, refresh the Apple Store, and boom, that Mac Studio you've been saving up for is exactly $1,300 more expensive. No press release, no flashy event, just a silent, massive price increase that literally sent shockwaves through the tech world. And there were zero warnings, no new redesigns to justify it. We're talking about a brutal, overnight price hike across the entire iPad and Mac lineup. The base MacBook Air jumped roughly $240, and the standard iPad spiked by $100. Honestly, it felt like waking up in an alternate reality where your cash just instantly lost a massive chunk of its value in the Apple ecosystem. So, why did Apple suddenly hike prices by hundreds of dollars, all while keeping the iPhone totally untouched? Let's crack this mystery wide open. We're going to figure out exactly why Apple is pulling the plug on their pricing oxygen tank, and more importantly, how you need to navigate this incredibly inflated market. Because if you think this is just standard corporate greed, well, the reality happening behind the scenes is actually a lot more alarming. Section 1. How AI broke the market. The Ramageddon effect. To understand the real culprit behind your suddenly way more expensive laptop, we actually have to look away from Cupertino. We need to look directly at the massive, totally insatiable hunger of AI data setters. AI didn't just change software, it physically broke the hardware supply chain. See, chip manufacturers are businesses, right? And right now they're actively pivoting their production lines away from consumer laptops just to feed AI servers. Why? Because the profit margins on AI server chips are absolutely massive compared to what they make on your everyday Ultrabook. They're just following the money. And this massive supply chain shift has triggered a severe crisis that industry insiders are now calling Ramageddon. It's exactly what it sounds like. We're in a global compounding shortage of memory chips, specifically RAM and SSDs, and it's driving prices up at a frankly terrifying speed. The numbers absolutely speak for themselves here. Prices for RAM and SSDs have already surged by 20 to 30% just since the start of the year. And if you're hoping it'll level off soon, think again. Market analysts project DRAM prices could spike by another 60% before the year is out. The memory chip well is literally drying up for regular consumers like us. Let's break this down. Think of it like a little stick figure baker whose flour costs just doubled overnight. This baker really only has 3 choices to survive. Choice 1, they eat the extra costs themselves and lose all their profit. Choice 2, they use cheap substitute ingredients and start baking terrible bread. Or choice 3, they simply raise the price of the bread for the customer. Section 2, Apple's 3 impossible choices. Protecting the experience. So Apple is the baker here, and for nearly a year, they actually went with option 1. Using their massive cash reserves and long-term locked-in contracts, Apple just ate the cost. They acted as a financial shield for consumers, taking the hits while Windows laptops across the industry quietly raised their prices over the last 12 months. But, those contracts weren't infinite. When they finally expired, Apple's shield shattered. They were suddenly forced into those same 3 impossible choices: tank their margins, put garbage low-tier components into a premium Mac, or finally raise the retail price. And they chose to raise the price. Apple's entire multi-trillion-dollar brand is built strictly on the user experience. They know perfectly well you'll be furious about the cost. They're totally used to that. But they absolutely refuse to let you be mad about performance. A slow, laggy MacBook destroys their brand reputation way faster than an expensive one ever could. Section 3. The Ultimate Buyer Action Plan. How to spend your USD intelligently. So how do you actually survive this artificially inflated tech market without getting completely ripped off? You need a clear, actionable strategy for your wallet right now. Here's a hyper-simple flowchart for your stick figure self. Step 1. Look at your current laptop. Is it dead or totally unusable for your daily tasks? If yes, bite the bullet and buy the base $1,400 MacBook Air M5. But if it still works and gets the job done, do absolutely nothing. Hold on to it. This is definitely not the year for a casual luxury upgrade. And this illustrates exactly why that $1,400 MacBook Air M5 is still a surprisingly solid buy if you're truly desperate. Thanks to Ramageddon, equivalent Windows Ultrabooks, the ones that actually match the Mac's 500 nit screen brightness, build quality, and battery life, have already ballooned to well over $1,600. So even with this massive price hike, the MacBook Air remains bizarrely competitive in its class. Now, for those of you wanting the deeper technical details, you might be scratching your head right now. Why couldn't Apple just swap in some standard budget RAM to save us all some cash and avoid this massive PR headache entirely? The answer lies in their proprietary unified memory architecture. When Apple transitioned to Apple Silicon, they didn't just swap out the processor. They totally changed how memory works. Unified memory is a highly specialized setup that uses ultra-fast LPDDR memory integrated directly near the system on a chip.
It pulls the memory so your CPU and GPU can access the exact same data instantly without copying it back and forth. When you look at standard PC RAM next to unified memory, the differences are huge. Standard RAM is swappable, it's way cheaper, but it's relatively slower and less power efficient. Apple's unified memory is baked in, incredibly expensive to manufacture, but it delivers ultra-fast, low-power processing. This specific design is exactly what makes Macs so unbelievably efficient for heavy tasks like video editing. But the catch, it permanently weds Apple to buying only the absolute most premium, expensive memory chips on the global market. They literally cannot pivot to cheap RAM without completely redesigning their chips from the ground up.
Section 4. The final mystery. Will the iPhone cost more? Now, this entire macroeconomic deep dive leaves one massive, glaring hole in our detective story. The elephant in the room, the iPhone. Think about it for a second. The iPhone requires these exact same ultra-expensive memory chips to function, yet miraculously, it totally escapes this round of brutal price hikes. Why? Well, Apple strategically chose to take the financial hit on their most important flagship product to prevent a total PR disaster. A $200 hike on a Mac angers professionals. A $200 hike on an iPhone angers the entire planet. But reality always catches up eventually. With memory prices continuing to skyrocket globally, it's really only a matter of time before Apple's financial shield for the smartphone breaks as well. They can only subsidize that cost for so long. Which leaves us with one final, very expensive question to ponder. When the supply chain oxygen finally runs out and the next generation iPhone drops, just how high will that price tag go?
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell to the later update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end and see you in the next video.